Welcome to the OK Not OK podcast. I am Dr. OK, and this is our end of year grades, part 3, where we will talk about every single woman who has had a match on the main roster. You know how this works already, so let's just get right to it. We're going to start with the women on Monday Night Raw, and that will be Io Sky to kick us off. She started the year as the WWE Women's Champion, and after Damage Control officially turned on Bayley, she had to face her at WrestleMania. And despite her unbelievable escape from a rose plant, well, Bayley just couldn't be denied in this one. So Io is the loser, but she still gets the okay for Women's Match of the Year. And this started an up and down year for her as she lost at Saturday night's main event in her only other world title shot. She also lost 3 women's tag team title shots, and she lost the Money in the Bank ladder match and in the semis of both the Queen of the Ring and women's IC tourneys. But she still led all Raw women in singles wins with 10 and total wins with 16, going 10-5 and 16-10 respectively. So did saying Damage Control needs to change over and over again work for her? I don't know. It's hard to tell. But even though she was still the genius of the sky soaring through the ring, she got no more gold. So we'll have to just give her a B+. Up second for Raw is Zoe Stark. You might be surprised that she's second, but she and Shayna Baszler were 8-4 in traditional tags, though admittedly just 10-10 in all tags. And they couldn't win any of their 4 tag team title shots. And then adding Sonya Deville only seemed to hurt them, as they ended 0-6 in their last 6 tag matches. She did win 1 match in both the Queen of the Ring and women's IC tournaments, but ended at 4-9 in singles matches, and she had a very impressive 33 total matches, but that just left her at 14-19 overall, so we'll give her a C. Liv Morgan is next, and we've already talked a lot about Liv considering she tied with Cody Rhodes for the most OK awards as Female Superstar of the Year, Comeback Superstar of the Year, and Love to Hate Female. And although the Liv Morgan World Tour was postponed, the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour worked to near perfection, injuring Rhea Ripley twice and stealing Dirty Dom from her, and winning the Women's Crown Jewel title, as well as helping the Judgment Day win the tag team titles and reforming them in her image. So this was certainly her year. She gets an A+. Kairi Sane is our second Damage Control member, and she won tag titles in January with Asuka as the Kabuki Warriors, and they had 3 successful title defenses, but lost the titles in May, and she never really picked up steam again. She lost 3 more tag team title chances, but still ended with a pretty good 8-5-2 traditional tag record and an 11-10-2 record in all tags, which was the most tag wins of any woman on Monday Night Raw. However, she was winless at 0-4 in singles matches to end at 11-14-2, so we'll have to give her just a C+. Shayna Baszler had the same 10-10 record as Zoe Stark, but she was worse in singles, going just 1-9. Maybe breaking away from Sonya would get her back on track, as she has no wins since September 2nd. However, we'll give her credit as one of 4 women to reach 30 matches, and so she ends at 11-19, which is a C-. Lyra Valkyria got off to a scorching hot start in her rookie campaign, winning 4 of her first 5 matches, including reaching the finals of Queen of the Ring, only then to lose to Nia Jax. And she also ended the year strong with 2 wins to reach the finals of the women's IC tournament, and I think we know how that one went for her as well. but that was just in 2025. However, she had quite a problem in the middle of the year with just 4 wins over 6 months. Still, an 8-6 singles record and 10-8 overall record is a pretty good start for a rookie, so she gets a B+. Rhea Ripley started the year as the women's champion and maintained it at WrestleMania by defeating Becky Lynch, but then she missed over 5 months of action with 2 different injuries at Liv's hands. And then, of course, Dom also broke her heart at SummerSlam, but when she got back into the ring, she ended at 4-0-1 in her last 5 matches, each against a Judgment Day member. And so she ended at 5-1 in one-on-one matches and 7-1-1 in all matches. So while she didn't get the title back by the end of 2024, we know that she still ended up on top. But that, of course, is not a factor for her 2024 grade, and she gets a B+. Asuka, we have not heard that name in a while, but she did win the tag titles with Kairi in January and had 3 successful title defenses before dropping the titles to Jade and Bianca in May. But we never saw her again after that, and Damage Control probably would have been more successful if she had stayed healthy. But I guess we will never know, so she ends with a 6-4-1 record, and we'll have to give her a B-. Dakota Kai, unfortunately for her, she is the weak link of Damage Control, and her return couldn't stop Bayley from winning the title, and then she missed 4 more months when the PFC injured her in July. She did come back stronger than ever, finishing 3-1, including reaching the finals of the women's IC tournament. Still, those wins were her only 2 singles wins of the year, ending at 2-6 and 5-10-1 overall, so we'll give her a C-. Up next is Isla Dawn, and well, the Unholy Union defeated Jade and Bianca at Clash at the Castle and stole their pin in the process to steal the women's tag team championships. But that is still more than anyone else can say for what they did against Jade and Bianca. So the axiom is true: if you give someone a title chance that doesn't deserve it, they just might win, and so they did at Clash at the Castle, and they had 2 title defenses, but one of those 2 was a DQ loss. So they somehow managed to have just a 4-8 record in all tags, despite being champs in the middle of the year, and they have no tag wins since September, so she is 4-10 overall, but we will never be able to take away the Unholy Union's title, so she gets a C-. Zelina Vega lost her 1 title chance and almost everything else as well, ending at 1-11 in all singles matches. But she surprisingly managed a 3-1 record in all tags despite not really having a tag team, and that took her to just 4-12 overall. She really fights hard and with a lot of spirit, but she's just not getting the job done in the ring. So like the rest of the LWO in 2024, she gets a D. Ivy Nile had her first one-on-one match on the main roster on January 1st against Rhea Ripley, and that went about as well as the rest of the year, as she ended at 2-9-1 in singles matches and 4-14-1 overall. But based on Gable's track record, I wouldn't be hoping for much more out of her while she's in American Made, so she gets a D. For Alba Fire, like other tag teams that we saw in the men's division, she got more singles chances and more losses than her partner, so she went 0-6 in all singles matches, worse than Isla, so she was 4-14 overall. But again, we still cannot take away her special moment, so she gets a C- as well. Kayden Carter danced into 2024 as women's tag team champions with Katana Chance, and they were determined to be fighting champions as they had 2 very quick title defenses in January before the Kabuki Warriors defeated them on January 26th, so they didn't even make it through the entire month. But what an amazing month that was, right? They then also went on to lose their rematch against them and only had 2 more tag wins for the rest of the year. ending at just 4-10 in all tags. But she had one less loss than Katana in singles action, so she was 0-4 in those matches and ended at 4-14 overall. But unlike the unholy union, Carter and Chance earned their right to be champions, winning a few matches before winning that title, so we will lovingly give Kayden a C. And that takes us right to Katana Chance, so obviously I don't have much to add, but I will because it's Carter and Chance, so of course we want to talk about them as much as humanly possible, and both of them looked outstanding as usual, and when they finally got a chance in a non-battle royal singles match in the women's IC title tournament, both of them looked amazing, even though they both lost in the first round. Nonetheless, we both need to give them more chances, because of course, Katana would stick them with the pointy end, so she too gets a C. And Raquel Rodriguez got a long-term injury in February that kept her out all the way until Bad Blood, when she decided to come back to help Liv retain the title. Clearly, Liv is Raquel's main focus now, as she's only 1-4-2 since returning, so she ends the year at just 3-5-2, and she'll get a D+. For Sonya Deville, we can't feel badly for her at all, as her partnership with Sonya and Zoe is not helping them, but it helped her a little bit as she went 2-1 in one-on-one matches and at least should have gotten a chance in the women's IC tournament, which she made clear by injuring Kyrie. Alas, she still ended the year at 3-5 overall and came up with the dumbest group name in history, so she gets a D+. Natalya may be the boat, but after taking 3 months off to try to regain her ring vision, she returned seeing clearly with 2 wins in 2 weeks. But that was it, finishing on a 3-match losing streak, so she ends at 1-7 in all singles matches and just 3-10 overall and gets a D. For Nikki Cross, as the only female in the Wyatt Six, she only got to participate in 1 match, which was an 8-person mixed street fight, which she did win, but is a match you don't really see very often. However, she did scare and jump plenty of different opponents of both genders and would probably have a better record if the other women would be willing to go toe-to-toe with her. But why would they? So, as it is, just like the guys, she's getting a B-. Kiana James bugged Adam Pearce for several weeks just to get a chance, and when she did, she picked up a victory in her first match, which after just 1 more match, she was injured and not seen again. So she was the 1% of appearing in matches. At 1-1, she gets a D. Maxine Dupree, she has a pretty reverse caterpillar, but her record will not be turning into a butterfly anytime soon at a 1-10-1 overall record, with her only win with Ivy now, before Ivy turned on her. But I just choose to believe that her ungrateful but very successful brother is making her focus her attention on maximum male models, but she's probably pushing Otis too hard there as well. So for her in-the-ring work, she has to get an F. And one final note for Raw, Scarlett didn't appear in a televised match, so he just cannot give her a grade, which is unfortunate because I really wanted to see her go one-on-one against Nikki Cross. So with that, let's switch on over to SmackDown, and at the top of the list is, of course, Bianca Belair. It was another dominant year for Bianca, and she led the entire WWE with 37 televised matches and won most of them, of course, at 28-9. She found a new way to dominate this year, going 20-1 in all tags, including 14-0 in traditional tags, becoming a 2-time women's tag team champion with Jade Cargill, and her final defense of 24 was actually with Naomi. So although she had no singles titles in 24, she still had an 8-2 one-on-one record, but she did have one weak spot, going 0-6 in all multi-person singles matches, but she got the all-important 2 OK Awards for Iron Woman of the Year and Best Tag Team with Jade, and no one else came close to matching her excellence and consistency, so she of course gets an A+. For Jade Cargill, it was an incredible rookie year, going 20-5 for the highest winning percentage of all women with at least 10 matches. So of course, as we just discussed, she and Bianca dominated the women's tag division as she went 17-1 in all tags, but her year was cut off after an unknown assailant injured her and has kept her out of action ever since, so we need to find out who this was ASAP. When she had a one-on-one match, she was pretty good there too, going 3-1 with her only loss by DQ to Nia Jax, and while she recovers, she at least can stare at her 2 OK Awards for Best Tag Team with Bianca and for the Female Rookie of the Year, so she too gets an A+. Up next is Bayley, and she started the year incredibly well by breaking the record for the longest time in a women's Royal Rumble, going on to win that match. Then, after sniffing out damage control plotting behind her back, she literally took a lead pipe to their plans and then went on to beat Io Sky at WrestleMania to win the WWE Women's Championship. And then she had 3 successful title defenses, though one of those was actually a no contest against Naomi, before she eventually dropped the title at SummerSlam to Nia Jax. Then, of course, she also came up short in an eventual rematch, but she finished the year at an impressive 8-4-1 in one-on-one matches, and perhaps more impressively, she was the only female to be undefeated in multi-person singles matches at 3-0. She was also impressive in tag team matches despite not actually having a true tag team partner, and she went 6-3-1 there, including being the right choice as the War Games replacement. So most importantly, she won the OK for Female Match of the Year by defeating Io at WrestleMania, and at times it may not have felt dominant, but you would be mistaken, it was a dominant year and she gets an A. Naomi is next, and she came back to WWE at the Royal Rumble looking to make an impact, and she proved she wanted to be here by competing in 32 matches, which was the second most on SmackDown, and her singles year was a bit of a mixed bag, going 7-6-2 in one-on-one matches, but just 8-11-2 overall. And she also lost all 3 of her title matches, but she was also sneakily good at tag matches, going 9-2. And when an opportunity presented itself, she took it and grabbed Jade's title by joining Bianca to end the year as the Women's Tag Team Champion, so she gets a B. Nia Jax was indeed an irresistible force inside the ring in 2024, leading all women with 13 one-on-one and singles wins, going 13-6, though she was 0-3 in multi-person singles matches. She did have an incredibly difficult path to win the Queen of the Ring tournament, defeating Naomi, Jade, and Bianca before defeating Lyra in the finals. She then took her guaranteed title shot at SummerSlam and didn't miss by defeating Bayley. And she held onto the title through the end of the year at least, though she only defended that title 3 times. She did come up short against Liv for the Crown Jewel Championship and then missed her 1 title shot in the tag division in December to leave her record looking less impressive at 15-13, but make no mistake, she was very impressive and dominant at the same time, so she gets an A. Tiffany Stratton did a good job of serving and then annoying her queen that was setting her up to pounce to cash in her pink Money in the Bank briefcase. But I'm a bit ahead of myself as she burst onto the scene, winning her first 5 one-on-one matches after debuting at the Rumble, but then she forgot how to win those one-on-one matches, ending the year at 5-7-1. Fortunately, the Money in the Bank qualifier and the Money in the Bank ladder match are not one-on-one matches. And on top of those one-on-one losses, she was also quite terrible at tag matches, going 1-6-1. So her 9-16-2 overall record is very underwhelming, and she also seemed to be completely inept at cashing in that briefcase. But her fortunes would change after the clock struck midnight, but we can't count that for 2024. So she still had a pretty good rookie campaign, especially winning that ladder match, so she gets a B-. Chelsea Green looked completely helpless for most of 2024, and then she turned it all around by having the most improbably successful end to the year, winning 4 of her last 5 singles matches, including 3 straight matches to win the Women's United States title tournament to become the first ever Women's United States champion. So that boosted her record to a still pretty bad 5-10. And she did lose both of her tag team title chances, with Piper going 2-5 in tag matches. So she ended the year at 7-15, and she also stunk to high heavens for weeks after losing her dumpster match. And yet, she wins the OK for Breakthrough Female of the Year by breaking that losing streak to paint the town red, white, and green with that shiny new title. So she somehow gets a B-. Then there's Candice LeRae, who we didn't expect to have her as Nia's lackey when 2024 began, but it was an attitude adjustment that initially served her well, going 5-2 in all matches in March and April, but she and Indy Hartwell got caught in Jade and Bianca's crosshairs, so they lost 3 straight matches and then lost all momentum from May on, as she went 1-13 to end the year. So she finished the year at 7-20, and she also lost her tag team partner and is now just serving Nia. So yikes, that's a D. Michin lost her first 9 matches before things started to improve, first by defeating Tiffany Stratton twice, and then going 4-2 against Chelsea and Piper. Though she won the battle in the dumpster match, she ended up losing the war by falling in the women's US title finals, so she ended the year at 5-9, 1-1, and 6-13 overall, and we'll give her a C-. For Piper Niven, she and Chelsea Green won 2 tag matches in a row in April and May, but then they totally forgot about trying. So Piper and Chelsea decided instead to both assist the other in singles matches, and that went really badly for Piper, as Chelsea was terrible at her job. So Piper went 0-7 in one-on-one matches and 0-11 in all singles matches. So I guess she's now fully on security detail for the Women's US Champion, because she ended at 2-16 and gets an F. Elektra Lopez defeated Zelina Vega right before WrestleMania and then didn't wrestle again until December, so she ended the year at 1-2, and she also ended the year with a lot of STFs in trying and failing to help Legado del Fantasma win anything of significance, and she really just needs to get some more chances, but for now, she gets an F. Blair Davenport didn't get to debut until June, and she picked up a win versus Naomi in August, but then sat on the sideline for months despite that impressive win, so that seems to be more of a bad job by Nick Aldis than anything, but at 1-4, we have to give her an F. B-Fab was in a women's battle royal in February, and then nothing until the US title tournament in November, and she also couldn't manage the Street Profits to getting any gold, so maybe next year she'll get some more chances herself, but for now, she too gets an F. So that's everyone on the main roster right now, so let's go to our free agents and the NXT Superstars, and we'll start off with Roxanne Perez, who ended 2024 as the NXT champion, but she appeared in 2 matches on the main roster. First, the Royal Rumble, and then she defeated Indy Hartwell on the Raw after WrestleMania. So that's pretty good, but what can you really give that since we haven't seen her since April? Well, we'll give her a C. Up next is Valhalla, and although the War Raiders are tag team champions on Raw, she has not appeared since before the draft, so she's technically still a free agent here. And she at least managed a mixed tag team victory with Ivar before she left, so she ended at 1-3 and gets a D-. Then there's Lash Legend of the Meta Girls, and she certainly appeared to be capable, and Lash looks to be an up-and-coming powerhouse, but those girls lost both of their women's tag team title chances without ever getting a tag win, and at least for her, she got a one-on-one win against Piper Niven, but who didn't get a win against Piper Niven, so she ends the year at 1-4 on the main roster, which is good enough for a D. Up next is Shotzi, and she only got to appear in the Royal Rumble before getting injured, where she also had one of the worst "what were you thinking" moments of the year. Fortunately, however, she just returned to the ring, but it was on NXT, so she ends the year for the main roster at 0-1, and we have to give her an F. Jakara Jackson is the other Meta Girl, and she didn't get the benefit of facing Piper Niven one-on-one, so she was just 0-2 in those 2 title matches, so she gets an F. And lastly, let's go to our dearly departed, and we'll start off with Becky Lynch. Well, let's hope the man comes back around before too long, but she has been gone since losing twice in a row to Liv Morgan in May. She did win the Elimination Chamber, but squandered her title opportunity by losing to Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. She did go on to quickly make up for it by winning the Women's Battle Royal to gain that vacant championship, but then she had no successful title defenses before Liv beat her twice. So that was quite a whirlwind of 5 months, and she ended at 6-6 overall, and we'll give her a C. Indy Hartwell won 4 tag matches through mid-April, particularly after her attitude adjustment to follow Candice, but then Jade and Bianca destroyed her momentum with 3 straight tag losses, and she needed 4 months to get another shot after that, which she lost and then was gone. So she gets a D-. Jordynne Grace, I don't know if we can really call her dearly departed, but we'll count her here. So she just got to appear on NXT despite not being a WWE superstar, and her appearance at the Royal Rumble was a huge surprise that started it all off. She looks like she fit in quite well there, showing off her strength, but we'll have to see if she will get a chance to make a jump to WWE in the future. But for now, she's 0-1, and we'll give her a D-. Xia Li took a loss in the Royal Rumble and then another loss in a Women's Battle Royal, and that was all for her to get dumped over the top rope for good, and she gets an F. Tegan Nox was actually on a bit of a roll in October and November of 2023 until she started to team with Natalya, and that, amazingly enough, was her downfall, as she lost all 4 of her tag team matches in 2024 and also the Royal Rumble and Battle Royal, so she was 0-6 and also gets an F. So there's a grade for all 44 women that had at least 1 match on the main roster in 2024, which takes us to a grand total of 137 total grades in 2024, and I certainly don't want to go back to school anytime soon after that. But if you missed yesterday's question of the week about the first 2 Raws on Netflix, be sure to go back there and check it out. But if you don't, you will get a 3rd straight F and another not okay.